The first light of dawn filtered through the wide, curtainless windows of Samuel Grant's loft, casting a soft amber hue on the polished wood floor. The hum of the city below, Centropolis, was a low, mechanical heartbeat, rising with the sun. Above all, Samuel moved without speaking. The apartment was large by city standards, a wide, open-plan space perched 15 floors above the street. Exposed steel beams crossed the ceiling. The walls were painted a muted gray, stripped of any artwork except for a single, faded print of a forest trail, hung slightly crooked by the front door. Morning light poured across the floors, catching the edges of a battered leather couch sagging in the middle, a low-glass table cluttered with half-read books and scattered research notes, and a heavy oak desk pushed against the far wall. The desk was a small island of memory, notebooks stacked with meticulous precision, old photographs turned face down, and a dormant terminal blinking faintly in sleep mode. The kitchen was little more than an alcove. Counters scrubbed clean, but scarred by years of careless cups. A line of mismatched mugs waited in the sink, patient monuments to a man who no longer cared to clean them. There were no plants. No new decorations. The air was dry and cool, carrying the faint, stubborn sense of roasted coffee beans, aged paper, and old metal. It was a place designed for survival, not for living. Samuel turned off the alarm before it could ring. He brewed coffee before his mind had fully woken. Every motion, measured, mechanical, was a ritual designed not to disturb the ghost that lived in his heart. As he waited for the coffee to brew, Samuel found his mind slipping unbidden backward. Back to when mornings had meant something. He had met Amelia Voss at Calden University, a crumbling but proud institution nestled among older cities and newer ambitions. Calden was a place where rain softened the stone walkways and ivy climbed across forgotten stairwells, where the air smelled of rain, old paper, and electric hope. Samuel had been a scholarship student, quiet, intense, and already carving a name for himself in advanced artificial intelligence. Amelia had been the wonder of the biosciences division, bold, brilliant, unafraid to challenge anyone, even the professors who barely understood her theories. He remembered the way she moved through the library stacks, quick, decisive, her auburn hair catching fire in the sunlight, her hazel eyes alive with unspoken dreams. She had an aura of inevitability, as though the world itself had been waiting for her to arrive. They collided one afternoon outside the physics hall, Samuel burdened with a precarious tower of textbooks, Amelia balancing coffee and loose papers. The crash was inevitable and transformative. "You should invest in a cart," she had said with a laugh, crouching to gather the spilled books. That laugh. It had rewired his heart in a way no logic ever could. They became inseparable. By the end of that first year, they were not just partners in study but in life. Samuel proposed on the steps of the old philosophy building, awkward, earnest, terrified, and Amelia said yes before he could even finish asking. They married the following spring, Samuel at 25, Amelia just shy of 23. It was a small ceremony in the university gardens, under a sky heavy with the scent of rain and lilacs. Their wedding bands were simple, plain silver, no embellishments, but to Samuel, they shone brighter than anything he'd ever built. For a time, the future had seemed endless. Days lost in dusty archives. Nights spent arguing over the future of consciousness under the old astronomy dome. Samuel, methodical and cautious. Amelia, wild and fearless. Where he built systems, she dreamed of souls. She finished her PhD in biosciences by 25, specializing in regenerative neural tissue. Samuel followed, earning his doctorate in advanced AI. Both of them graduating with honors. Both of them believing they could change the world. He remembered her sitting barefoot on the dormitory lawn, sketching out neural pathways with one hand, catching fireflies with the other. Unburdened. Unbreakable. Until the diagnosis. Amelia fought the cancer the way she fought everything, with brilliance, with stubborn joy. But medicine, no matter how advanced, had not caught up to her. She died at 28. He was 30. 15 years later, Samuel still moved through his mornings as if she might return at any moment. As if he could will her back by simply surviving long enough. The coffee finished brewing. He poured it into a heavy ceramic cup, chipped at the rim from years of quiet neglect, and carried it to the window. The city below was waking. Muted sounds drifted up through the thick pane of glass, the distant blare of a siren slicing through the morning haze, the low rumble of early delivery trams grinding along elevated rails, the soft electronic warble of holographic advertisements rebooting into motion. Hover trams hiss between the towers, leaving silver trails in the neon mist. Automated delivery drones zipped between rooftops, blinking with impatient red lights. On the sidewalks below, the first scattered currents of humanity stirred, early workers hunched in thick coats, merchants rolling open battered storefront gates, a child darting after a loose ball as a holographic crossing light flickered from green to red. From up here, 15 stories above the concrete tides, Centropolis almost looked beautiful. Manageable. But Samuel knew better. Soon he would descend 15 floors, 15 years, a lifetime, into the machinery of a world that no longer recognized him. He drained the last of his coffee, the warmth already fading from the cup. With a small sigh, he placed the empty mug into the sink, joining the silent congregation already waiting there. He grabbed his worn leather bag, stuffed with notebooks, crumpled research papers, and the debris of old ambitions, and slung it over his shoulder. Time to be swallowed up by the city, just like everyone else. The apartment around him buzzed faintly with distant city noise, a low, constant pressure he had long ago stopped noticing. The air smelled of roasted beans and something colder, sterile steel, paper files, and memory sharpened by time. On the far shelf, encased in glass, sat the soul stone. It didn't glow. Not yet. But even dormant, it pulsed with a presence Samuel could feel, like a heart beating too faintly to hear, yet too strongly to ignore. The surface was smooth as river stone, dark as old blood, threaded with hairline cracks that shimmered faintly when the light caught them. He paused for a moment, staring into the glass case. Still here, he thought. Still waiting. He left the loft and descended into the pulse of Centropolis. At the lobby door, Frank was already waiting, stooped, in a faded uniform that once fitted proudly but now sagged against aging shoulders. His thinning hair was neatly combed. His shoes were shined, as if clinging to some stubborn dignity the city had long forgotten. "Morning, Dr. Grant," Frank said, offering a small, familiar smile. His voice was worn and gravelly, softened by years. "Morning, Frank," Samuel murmured, accepting the newspaper with a slight nod. He lingered this time. "How's Martha?" Samuel asked. Frank's smile faltered, then lifted again. "Still telling me how to do everything wrong. Bless her." Samuel almost smiled. "She's lucky to have you." "And I'm lucky she still puts up with me," Frank chuckled, coughing lightly into his fist. "Heading to the lab?" Samuel nodded. "Every day." "Don't let them machines turn you into one of them," Frank said, a ritual exchange between them. "I'll try," Samuel said. They shared a brief, wordless moment, an understanding between two men clinging to something the world was trying to erase. Samuel stepped toward the door. At the corner, under the sagging awning of a half-collapsed storefront, sat a woman wrapped in a thin, threadbare blanket, her dog curled protectively against her side. Samuel's gaze lingered for a moment. He recognized her, the quiet resilience in her posture, the way she shielded her dog with what little she had. But he didn't stop. Not yet. There would be time for that. Soon. He tugged his coat tighter against the chill and continued on into the city's growing hum. The city shimmered beyond the glass and steel, towers rising like frozen monoliths, holograms bleeding neon into the mist. He walked with his head down, carrying something heavier than the bag on his shoulder. And yet, it was the past he carried. As he turned another corner, he whispered under his breath, soft enough that only memory could hear. "I'm going to bring you back. I promise."